Hi there, this is Lisa from LisaArts.com. I am going to explain a little bit about value and grisaille. Grisaille is a French word meaning grays and graying and whatever the direct translation is. If I were working on a white piece of paper, white being my lightest value, and sometimes say pencil being my darkest value, then the grays in between, medium, darker gray, and lighter gray, create a grayscale. And of course, if I'm working a colored pencil, I may go even a darker black and possibly a whiter than the white paper white, depending on the paper that you're using. Now for our teapot lesson, we are going to, this by the way is something I picked up on Amazon, and it's gotten a little battered over the years, but it goes from the black to the white. I wish all in one line, but when you're looking for something, you can determine where on the gray scale that gray falls by using the little notches in it. It's kind of a little tool. Here's a gray scale that I created on a blue paper. And what I want you to know, just like the chiaroscuro method, when you have a toned paper, the tone of the paper becomes one of the grays. Now, some of you may be working on a gray paper. Oops. So the same would apply, but silver often has a bluish undertone, so I chose a sort of grayish blue paper. Then I create my lighter and lighter colors by applying more pressure. This is more pressure than this. And the same with using the black. I'm doing lighter and then heavier pressure as I go on to get the different tones. So I would create a complete value scale using the paper. Rarely do the shades, whatever shade you're doing, touch each other. There's usually the paper in between, but you will find, and we do discuss in class, that when doing glass and metal, highly reflective surfaces, sometimes very often it seems that the black is right up next to the white because this scale happens not as slowly as it would otherwise. I'm showing you this picture of a bunny because if any of you are working on white paper to draw the silver pot, the problem then is that white is going to be your value, and then you're just going to put the grays down. Please keep the white of the paper as your white for as long as possible. I will discuss this also in the class, you'll see. But once you put white down, then as I'm working, I could be working way over here, but I have to press very hard with my black, and crumbs happen. And then we tend to push them away, and or they're just floating around on the paper, even when I'm going lightly next to it. That little dust of this black pencil will get in, and this will become a gray. Same thing if you have done a line drawing. We had someone ask in class about their line drawing and the pencil was coming up, or the graphite from the transfer paper was coming up. You want to roll up a kneaded eraser and roll it over your drawing to lighten your drawing before you start. If it's too dark, or if you don't have a kneaded eraser, you can take a regular eraser and just sort of dab. So the process, we did get quite far in the class. I'm going to start working over here from our picture so that you all who missed the class. What happened is I forgot to record till about 15 minutes into the class. Typical me. And so I want to give you how we got started. This is well into so I will cover this up. What we did first was we found some bright whites that we determined were bright whites, and they're going to stay bright whites. If they're not, if they're sort of medium, you can ignore them for now, but I want to lay down some of the whites that I know are going to be my heavy pressure bright white. I have one here, and I'm not sure if this one goes up a little bit. Then I want to, because I'm going to be creating these two fence posts, the brightest white and the darkest dark on my picture, find something that I know is going to be black, black, black. So sorry, my phone is ringing. We'll just ignore it. I think that I have one over here. At least parts of it are. And in here and in here. I have some blacks. They can be very small, but I just want to find the ones that I know are going to be so true black. All right, let's leave black alone for a while and find some of the medium whites. Some of them later are going to be rather toned because they look warm and they have a sort of golden tone. You can see that in here, but you can put them down as light whites. Some of these. So I was going along and I'm finding the medium tone whites and placing them in. I'm following along in my drawing as best I can. It's pretty light. All right. I know I'm kind of skipping through this a little bit, but you'll see where I'm going. So now I'm going to find some other blacks. The ones that are maybe not a number 10 black, but sort of a number 9 black or a number 8 gray. Let's call them grays. My number 9 and number 8 grays, because I'm coming down from true black. I may find some things that, oh yes, this will be true black, but right underneath it was like a 7, 8, or 9. And then even some lighter ones. Okay, so that's the beginning. You're going to do the bright whites, the lighter whites that are really just sort of a light gray, anything lighter than the paper. Then after placing in some dark blacks, you're going to find some of the grays that are on here that are not true black, but they're darker than the paper. So you're going to put in all the lights and darks. And that's creating a grisaille, so that this will be entirely like a black and white drawing. There is a picture that I mentioned later in the lesson that I'm going to post to everybody that shows a completed silver picture with the completed grisaille before you begin any color. And you can see over here I started to add the color. Once you get the completed black and white, then you can start adding. And think of warm and cool. There's a warm side to this picture, and there's a cool side, whether it's top and bottom, whether it's right and left. So remember I said that some of these light whites, they're actually sort of cream colored. We're going to start with yellow, cream. This is a jasmine. It's like a yellow ochre, but lighter with some white in it. So if you find that it's a little more golden, you can go there. Your like sky blue light, cloud blue, powder blue can be some of the lights, which I just noticed underneath here, rather than having the paper show through. You know, this is lighter than the paper, but it's in the blue tone. You can use a 50% gray rather than just light pressure with the black. And I like to pick out a pencil that's somewhere in the range of what my paper color is. This one's maybe a tone darker than the paper, but then it'll show up nicely. Or if I feel like I have taken something a little too far away from the paper color that I meant, I can bring back the paper color with that blue tone. So this is sort of your range of colors. Later on, and in some pictures, we see some other colors. There might be some really peachy and burgundy colors. You may find that some of those cool shadows are like a grayed lavender. This is grayed lavender. This would be like a henna and a salmon pink. And there are other grays. We have warm, cool, and French grays ranging from 10% to 90%. So you can put in the full range of, you can see the difference in these grays from a warm gray, a French gray, and a cool gray. Your blues, your warmer colors, your accent colors, and your whites. But please, for the Grisaille portion, you are going to use black and white and just lighter and heavier pressure for a whole, maybe at least an hour of drawing before you begin to add any of those other colors in. And you'll see in the lesson that I'm well into that before I start adding that. I just wanted to give you, this is what you probably missed in the beginning, because I did that all underneath here before adding any other tones. And enjoy the rest of the replay video. And thank you for this little bit on Grisaille and value.